He has a TED Talk that's gone viral, inspired millions of people. He's an actor, an outstanding person, and really just an awesome communicator. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live, Frederik.
Hello, Oscar. How are you today?
I am so good. Thank you very much for asking. I should be asking you this question.
I'm thrilled to be
I'm
here.
very
So
well
I'm
because
grateful.
I have you here today. How are you?
I'm really good. I had a wonderful weekend. I had a wonderful summer, and I'm full ready. My batteries are charged for this video, and also for the next upcoming work year. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. You got the batteries loaded and ready to keep going. So before we kind of dive into a lot of different things, I want to get to know you just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're an actor. You've been acting for, I think you got your degree almost 25, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And today you're a trainer. You help people communicate more effectively, and you have inspiring keynote talks. What is the reason you're so interested in communication and people?
I enrolled actually in it. You mentioned that I did some acting school, and suddenly to fill my planning, my agenda, I was asked to do some role play training as an actor, where there was a communication coach. He was training people to improve, for example, their communication or assertiveness skills. And in the afternoon, there was an actor popping in, helping those people, putting those techniques in practice. And so I was doing the role plays, and then I heard the feedback of the trainer to the participants, maybe you should do a bit more of this. And he popped up with some techniques. And I was, as a 23 years old Flemish guy, kind of amazed by, does this really exist? Techniques to improve communication skills? I had actually not got a flavor of that. And so I called it, it's a second emotional education in my life that started at the age of 23. Then I did some workshops. I did a master in neuro-linguistic programming, nonviolent communication. And little by little, I was more and more intrigued by how people communicate with one another. And this is my main focus. Like an architect will always come into a building and looking like, how is this built? Or an engineer will look at machines, trying to know how it's built and how it's done, how it's designed. I cannot put off my button looking at people. How do they interact with one another? This is my focus. It's my passion, and I also believe very hard that if people communicate in a nice way with each other, it really contributes to, and a little part, to a better, peaceful world.
Yeah, totally agree. I think most of the problems actually in today's world is poor communication. I mean, think about different jobs. You get hired and maybe 6 months later you leave. It's not because the job wasn't interesting. It's because the communication was poor. And when I talk to people and I say, what's your biggest problem? And I work with technical experts, they will very often say communication, collaboration. And that is communication. So what's one of the biggest mistakes or myths you see within communication? Like you had one, you just mentioned, hey, could we get better? Right?
Yeah. There's so many things. I think the disease of these times is that people are so spoiled to be in a social media society where people get rewards and likes for what they do, how they look like. And so they want to get acknowledgement, rewards by people. And this is as such not that bad, but it leads to people who only want to be in the center of the attention, and their needs always needs to be fulfilled by other people. That it translates into communication where we, and I take myself a part of it, we have more and more difficulty in genuinely taking time to listen, in adapting our communication to the other person. If you don't understand me, I have tendency these times to say, yeah, it's you. You should understand me. I explained it in the right way. Instead of saying, how could I have communicated differently so that Oscar could have understood it? or lacking also the empathy to put yourself in the other person's position. One of my favorite exercises, and I'm thrilled, as I said, the work year starts again. Maybe we could just do it.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Well, actually, I do understand that you're a very good communicator as well, so there will be no problem. But we should all do it. I give in a workshop, I pop up with several statements. Like, for example, the first one pops up in my mind: separated toilets for men and women. They should be banned. It should be one unisex toilet. Are you for that statement, or you against? And then I ask people to form groups with someone who has a different opinion. And the purpose of the exercise is to not do what you actually always would like to do, is to convince the other person of your perspective. No, it should be a competition in the opposite direction. The competition should be in trying as much as possible to try to understand the other person by asking questions. And the questions, they cannot be guiding questions like where there is an opinion in it. For example, if I'm against the separation of two toilets, I would say, and why do you believe that one unisex toilet would be better? Well, if I put it in this way, then I already showed in my tone of voice that I was actually not willing to listen. So the competition is, are you able to put yourself in the other person's perspective? Now,
wow, that's a great exercise. Yeah, I love the thing you talk about, listening, empathy. And I also usually like to say, speakers, we first and foremost got to listen, because when we go on the stage to speak, we speak about something we heard from other people. We tap into their problems, their challenges. And I think so many people today just go on the stage and speak about what I feel like. Sure, it would be nice for my little ego and interesting for me, but how much does it give people? Right? So I totally agree with you. That's an awesome exercise. So what happens when you do the exercise? Is there kind of a shift in their way of thinking, looking at the other person?
The exercises works well because there is a kind of a competition part in it. If you say people without the exercise, you don't listen well enough. They say, I was listening. While when it's an exercise, when it's a kind of competition, and the other one is the judge and saying, no, that was actually a guiding question. You were actually trying to give your opinion in the question.
Okay.
Then they really take it as, oh yeah, really? Was I? Oh yeah, it's true. It's so hard. Or questions that start by, yeah, but don't you think that? Yeah, but don't you think that is actually not a question. It's already asking permission for your own statement, for your own opinion. And so does it so hard. The trick is to see, oh yeah, I have another opinion than this person. And now I know it's the biological feeling now to trying to convince the other person. Well, actually, if I want a connection with the other person, first I should try to understand the other person's perspective, and only then trying to be understood myself.
Yeah.
I always put it in, it's the message I'm giving already so many times in my life. We are talking here about communication. If we look at the word communication, Asker, there is a smaller word in that word communication of 3 letters. Can you guess which one?
Maybe you talk about the Latin. I'm not sure. The muovere, like you move something, or what are you thinking about?
The word communication. There's a smaller word in it of 3 letters.
Smaller word. Come.
Come is Latin.
Yeah,
from.
So you come together.
Together with, yes. It's not that word that I'm looking for, but it has actually the same signification.
Okay. Is there something about unifying people together?
You just said it. It's not a real English word, but the word is uni.
Yeah.
The beginning of the word unity, union. And now look at it letter by letter. It clearly says first you and I. It's first you and only then I. It's about communication. It's not about communication, or even worse, some people do not communicate. They do not communicate. They communicate. And I. Well, actually, a good communicator is able, as you said, a good speaker, even when he has to speak, needs to be curious about how does his message lands? What does the audience wants to know? What are their concerns? What do they want to learn from this talk? So the key for me is it's willing to trying to understand the other person first, and only then trying to be understood.
Why do you think it so often goes wrong with people? We tend to say, I want to share my feelings first, my opinions, and then have that, oh, okay, now it's your turn afterwards.
To me, it goes a bit in the same time era where people are looking confident, or at least trying to look confident, because then they will get the rewards.
Sure.
But actually they feel not that confident. They have that inner struggles, that inner insecurities. And let's be honest, we all struggle from that. And instead of just saying, I'm a little boy, I'm a little girl, I sometimes just don't know it, and I struggle with myself, and I have my own insecurities. Instead of doing that, they try to pretend that they all know, because they think if I know, I will be seen as more valuable and more successful. While talking again will prevent the real connection. I heard from Alain de Botton, the British philosopher, the Swiss British philosopher of the School of Life, wonderful videos he has online. I heard from him that real friendship only emerges if there is a part of vulnerability. You will never be a friend with somebody who is perfect and has no mistakes. In order to be friend with someone, I should reveal something of myself that is a kind of an insecurity or a vulnerability, so that you could see, I should actually share something that you could take disadvantage of. I should share something of which you can say, oh, good to know, because I could tackle him there. And it's just because of the reciprocity of that process where I know something vulnerable of yourself, and I also share something vulnerable of myself, that the human connection can arise, because you will recognize parts of yourself that are struggling. We know people from the outside, from what they want to tell us. We struggle with ourselves because we know ourselves from the inside, and we see all those vulnerabilities.
Yeah. I think you touch on something very, very important. How do we connect with people? And you say, oh, I can't see on the inside. Like the only way I can get to know what goes on within you is by you revealing it.
Exactly.
I mean, I can look at you, I can judge. Do you look confident, or do you look nervous? Might be right, or might be wrong. I can have some sort of idea, but I can never truly know what's happening in your mind, in your body. So that's just a deeper way of really connecting with people. Yeah. How do you then find a balance? Because this is something I often think about when I go out and do talks. I know I got to share something I struggled with to connect with them, so that they relate and say, oh, maybe I'm like Asker was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But on the other hand, I also need to project, hey, I'm an expert. I know something. I can help you. But if you're too much of the expert, it turns into arrogance of like, hey, sure, he knows a lot of stuff, but I didn't connect with him. If you're just, hey, I'm always mistaken, where's the learning, right? And it kind of becomes maybe self-therapy on the stage. Well, how do you find the balance between those two things, and what's your opinion about it?
If you just tell what you want to share, you might come across as arrogant, as you mentioned. And we think we should share only what we think and we know, because then we have the full control over it. Well, actually, you should ask your ego, isn't it also true that if I'm just curious to know what they want to know, there is so much that I know that could be an answer to their concerns, that I do not necessarily only have to talk about the things that I today want to share and put in their mouth and in their minds. There are so many, it's in my domain. They will not suddenly ask me to share ideas about things that I do not know anything about it. It's such a broad domain. And for example, if I give a talk about connecting communication, and I want to share all my ideas about connecting communications, while I'm touching some spots in them, and then I'm asking, how do you feel when I share this? And then they might come up with, yeah, but does it mean that you always have to let run all over you? And that's a marvelous question that is actually coming from one person in the audience, and that is most of the times also a concern of a lot of people. And then I just have to ask, who recognizes this question, or who recognizes this concern or this fear? And then I can just respond to their concern, which is also something, is also kind of a kind of content that I also would like to share myself. I do not always have to ex cathedra share my own ideas. I just have to be curious and to find out what are the things that you would like to know. And so my answer is, just put your ego aside and know that you will be sharing a lot of your ideas as a response to their questions and to their concerns. So the technique there as a speaker, you're a good one, is to go into interaction with people. Very easy ways to go into interaction. I could just ask a rhetorical question and respond it myself. Guys, what is connecting communication? It's a way of communication in which you try to be understood and you try to understand the other person. And why is that important? Well, it's important because I just now popped in 2 rhetorical questions that were actually triggering, even when you did not have to do anything, you did not have to respond yourself, but that were actually also triggering yourself. If you ask a rhetorical question and you pause a bit, the mind of the audience also says, I would like to know that answer. And so, of course, other genuine, open and closed-ended questions can also do it, because then you really go into more conversation with the audience, especially because people want to be involved. I think most of the Teams meetings that people are struggling from is not because they are not interested in the topic. It's just because they are not feeling involved, heard, seen enough. If I could ask, for example, hey, this is my idea. How does this idea land in your mind? And then I could have all that conversation and all that interaction with the people. I will have way more impact than, all the other things that I wanted to put in their minds to force them to listen to me. Well, actually, if they're not open to listen to me, then I should never have said it myself then, because the impact is zero.
Yeah, that's an important point. You really got to open people up, be curious, which makes me think of a time I used to work in a company, and the company would gather every year, 100 of us employees together. And the managers there, they were always trying to find something hopefully useful for us, but often I think they missed the mark. And so I said, one time I had a conversation with my leader. I said, maybe you could send out a little survey, or maybe you can ask the group leaders what's kind of interesting at the moment, what would bring value. And I got this answer is, it takes a lot of time to do this. But I'm like, it takes a lot of time to bring 100 people together, do a 7-hour day, and maybe you're right in 1 out of 3 times. I'm like, you got to do the work to figure out what's interesting for them.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I often send out a survey before I run my workshops, or I say, can I have 2 or 3 people just for a mini interview? One younger, maybe they just started, more a senior, whatever. So I kind of have a little bit of feel for the group. Plus, it helps me when I do come for the workshop. I kind of already connect with a few people.
Of course.
Yeah. And they know I put in the effort. So you can also do easy tips, go on their website, use some of the words that are there.
Exactly.
I'm going to work with a company in a while that do contact lenses. So I find stuff on their website that's relevant for them, how to communicate. I could do tons of different things, but it just shows I've put myself into their world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it connects because, and it's an easy way to connect because people want to be seen, heard, understood, valued, respected. And if you just mentioning something that is part of their personal or company life, it's like, oh, that Oscar Lindholt, he was interested in my situation. He was there for me. Oh, he's mentioning some of our products, of our lens products online. That's interesting. he sees us. And what is the consequence? If we feel seen and heard, now I want to see you. Now I want to hear you. I want to listen to you.
Yeah. It's that ping pong back and forth, right?
Exactly.
Creating the awesome energy. I want to, so you talk a lot about connecting with people and with your communication. I have a question because I use your material in my workshop. I have like a 2-minute video of you from your awesome TED Talk. I want to dive into a little bit, but I get a question. I use you, of course, because I think you're fabulous in your TED Talk. No doubt about it. You're ranked 19th in the world. And I just Googled today how many TED Talks there are. Do you know how many there are, Frederik?
No idea.
240,000.
Wow.
And 45. That's what Google told me. And you're number 19. That means you're doing an awesome job. But I get the question a lot, which is, the part where you say, oh, yeah, I'm driving my car and I'm honking behind. So it's very, you use your body a lot. It's a little bit theater kind of thing. And some people, I work with engineers, technical experts, say, oh, he's too much. He's too much. And I, so I'd love to hear, if you were running the workshop showing that 2-minute clip, what would you say to those people? Because the stats are for you. People love your TED Talk, right? But what would be your answer? I would love to hear that.
My answer would be, if you don't like there are too many gestures, it's too theatrical, it's too big for you, it means that that's not your type of communication. And that's totally okay, first of all. So if you're dropping out and you have difficulties to keep on listening because of my body language, or other people, for example, because I'm giving too much examples, or because it's going too slowly, or because I'm pausing too much, too much, that's totally okay. It's your preference. Second answer would be, it's possible that you have a resistance against it because actually it touches a point in yourself where you're not able to show yourself bigger than actually should be necessary. Maybe you're kind of a person who always standing there and who says, yeah, now we are going to look at some ideas, and you're very small. Then maybe you'll get triggered by something that is too much, the opposite. This is how our psychology works. I'm a very stingy person. I don't like to give out money. I don't like those people who spend too much money.
Yeah.
But actually the problem is inside of myself because I'm too stingy, and I need to learn to allow myself to spend too much money. So at the answer would be in terms of them listening to my story, when it's too much, then it's too much. And I have an audience of all that kind of personalities, then I will have to adapt to myself. And in terms of personal development, it could be a wise question to just ask them, do you recognize something of yourself that maybe is triggered by Frederik's way of presenting, that triggers you and confronts you with a part of yourself that you have not maybe come into terms with? And at the same time, it's not because my TED Talk has 20 million views that everybody likes my body language. Maybe they just tolerate my body language. I have no idea. I find it's my personality to be very extroverted and to have impact. And I really believe there is a whole theory behind it. A lot of our communication is based on our body language. And if I try to mimic and that person is driving behind me, I'm trying to visualize the story. But it's not because it's my preference that other people should also have that same preference. Maybe they like it more smaller.
Yeah, totally agree. Just making a few notes. I think you're touching on something very important, which is if we're told not to play big and really take up the space and say, hey, I've got something I believe is valuable, then some people shy in and, it's a kind of protective mechanism. And, exactly. And I see it a lot with people, like you say there, that are afraid to go big. So what I often do in the workshops that I run is we have, small pitches they do, 30 seconds, and maybe they get an exercise. Use expressive body language. What happens, like almost always, is they have to get feedback. And the other person was like, wow, that was great. And the one that was afraid to go big is like, oh, I thought it was just way too much. And the other was like, no, you can do more, right? Because we are used to maybe being here, and you got to practice to go out here, and maybe the optimal space is here. But if you never go here, well, how will you find the limit, right? So that's a very good point you have. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Feel inside yourself. Are you being provoked, triggered by something inside yourself? Because that could be a reason. Now,
let me react on that, Oscar, before you continue. Sorry to interrupt you, but if I were a dog, now my tail would be wagging all the time, because what you mentioned is absolutely exactly the same in my experience when I train people to increase their impact speaking in front of a group. They tell me exactly the same. They think it's too much, and I don't have to do the work as a coach. No, the participants who are watching that person are doing the work. Like, no, it's better. You should do more. Yeah. Like, for example, they say, so the product has 3 advantages. And now we train them to say, now the product has 3 advantages. And the first one is blah, 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 blah. The second one is this. And the third one is this. And then they say, yeah, but this was over the top. And then the others say, no, now you gave me structure and it helped me to better remember your story. So I'm so grateful that in Denmark and with the companies you're working with, it's exactly the same as what we are having here in Belgium.
Yeah, human beings are the same. You could run awesome workshops here in Denmark, and would love to do one with you here. Now, you also touch on another thing I think that is very important. You say, okay, if it's not their style of communication, and I personally think if I can do well and, be fairly successful with 80, 90% of the participants, I do a good job, because not everyone will like my personality. I think if I have a workshop and 100% give me, wow, that was awesome, I know there's a bit of luck in that. Right? This can't happen every time. Now, of course, I want more than 50% to leave the workshop and find this is valuable. But can you be around 80, 90? I think people, nice job. Well done. Well, what's your opinion on that?
It touches to me a vulnerable part. I always want to be liked, to be seen. I really ask myself a lot of times, is it ego? And I'm not really, I think of course, sometimes it's ego, of course. Sure. But it's just my inner child that still needs to be heard and seen. And so I tell myself, listen, even though you want to be, as a trainer, as a speaker, to be seen, to be applauded, like, oh, good. It's the adult Frederik, actually, who still has this inner child in it. Like, I want to be valued. And so there's also, if this is the case, if you recognize, I'm still struggling, the work is inside of you. Not the audience should obey and find you terrific. You should just accept, indeed, that some people are interested in your message, some like your style, others don't like your topic and don't like your style. Yeah. And that's totally okay. I should accept myself also when I'm not accepted by other people. The lesson is, I do have to accept myself and have to value myself and have to be in harmony, live in harmony with myself. Because if I'm okay there, for example, my shoes, I like my shoes, I really like them. If somebody says, I don't like white sneakers, if I'm okay with my white sneakers, I will not feel offended, neither I will feel rejected. I will just say, okay, right, that's okay, you can have another preference. But if my value needs to come from other people and they don't like my white sneakers, then I will feel offended and I will take it personally. And so the work is always inside of yourself. And of course, it's not nice when you're, for example, metaphorically talking about how to prepare a good steak and your audience is full of vegetarians. Of course, that's not nice, because you would like to share ideas about baking a steak and they don't like your message. But there's nothing wrong with being vegetarian, as there is nothing wrong with preparing a steak. It's nothing personal. You should just see, indeed, we are lucky, or sometimes you're not lucky. And that's okay. And also accept that. And maybe even mentioning it. Guys, am I right that it's not really very nice for you, me talking for 45 minutes about preparing a steak? Well, actually, you're vegetarians and you do not like people to be motivated to prepare good food. Again, here you can connect with them. You can connect with the people who are not liking your style, your message. And that's really okay.
Yeah, good point. Calling out the room if there's resistance and getting clear, okay, here's some resistance. That's gonna melt at least part of it away.
Exactly.
Now another thing I would love to know about your TED Talk, because we're talking about using expressive gestures, body language, and voice and so forth. It's also, it's a video. I just see the video there. And I think a lot of times if you're on video, you can be a little bit more expressive because the camera tends to kill a little bit. Do you think that plays a role in why your TED Talk is so popular? That I don't know what you had in mind. I would love to know. Is this for the audience or for the video or kind of a mixture?
To be honest, now that you're telling me this, if I had to do, it's not really true. I try to, when I do a video message, even when I'm doing it here, it's not a video message, but it's a video talk. And I know that kind of this is the frame. If I do this, it's out of view. And I should also be a little bit more smaller than I do in a bigger audience. If you have an audience of 100, 200, 800 people, then of course your way of looking at people should be like this because they are very far away. And then others, for example, are just sitting here in front of you. I always show that I'm looking at somebody. And of course, when it's for a video, it can be a little bit smaller, of course, because everything what you do is more visible because the camera is closer on you. And so I can totally understand that people find it sometimes a bit over the top or overacted. And sometimes, but at the same time, I like it. I like clarity, and I really like also contrasts. I like the idea of Nancy Duarte, who has researched valuable talks like the ones of Steve Jobs and the one of Martin Luther King, where she says you should always make contrast between, for example, something is really important, and then of course something is less important because things cannot always be as important and going down again. You can vary in your speed. You can make big gestures, hold them on, and then suddenly come back again. So the more contrast there is in your content and also in your form of presenting, the more I think the brain is triggered to keep on listening. A monotonous speaker who speaks more than 10, 15 seconds with the same pitch, same tone of voice, and in the body language, nothing changes. It's like he undergone a Botox treatment. You will drop out. And if you have an audience who's hanging on your every word, then you don't need all the techniques.
No.
But then you're really lucky. But if you are listening, let's be honest, how many speakers are exactly sharing the ideas we really want to hear, especially in company environment where people, oh no, the guys from procurement again will have a talk about 15 minutes. They will give all that figures. Then it does not really interest the audience. And then exactly, you should be more extroverted, more theatrical, more present, more interactive with the audience to have at least a level of interest of the audience. Yeah. To me, it's very simple. You do not have to do all those things if the listeners are listening.
Yeah.
But if they do not listen, you have to trigger them. And the best way to trigger them is to use your body language, to vary in your pitch, in your voice, in your examples, in your interaction. These are, as you know, you're a communication trainer. You train people to speak in front of a group. It's about techniques. It's about structure. It's about helpful things that will help them.
Yeah. Yeah, totally spot on. Well, I think also you mentioned an important thing is, sure, it's a little bit expressive, but I think if it pushes a few people away, it's okay when it's online because maybe you just attract a lot of people to you. So I'd rather for a TED Talk say, oh, here's 20%. It's like, not for me at all. 80%, this is awesome. Rather than going, 95%, this is kind of okay. Because let's be honest, we have loads of opportunities on the internet to watch stuff. So push a few people away to attract people even more is way better.
True.
Now in a physical setting, that strategy maybe I would say find more of a middle ground. Because if you're running a workshop, let's say 20 people, doesn't work, that 5 are leaving us. Terrible guy, Frederik. Kind of need most people at least on board, right? So I think maybe that could be one of the reasons it's been so successful.
True.
Yeah. Cool. What's one thing you're working on? Because I see you. I go on your website. I see your TED Talk. I'm like, this guy is just absolutely outstanding. But I know you're curious. You're a person, you want to grow, you want to develop. So what's one thing you're working on right now? Is it, damn, I could be a little better at that.
At the moment, I'm writing a book. I was asked by a publisher to write a book. As an extrovert, that's a nightmare because on the one hand, you want to have that book because let's be honest, with a 17 minutes TED Talk, you can only give a small part of a message and there's way more to share. So I was honored that I could dig into the material, do some research, and structure it in a way as nice as possible for an audience. So this I'm working in my spare time. In the holidays, I'm giving up my holidays, partly to work on the book. And of course, I'm the founder of Imbo. It's our company, and we have several programs running in 3 different languages, in Dutch, in French, and in English. And we have 21 different keynotes and training programs. So we all need to keep them up to date. The clips sometimes we are using needs to be changed, or the colors, or some fragments need to be out, or new quotes in it, or reworking a bit the structure. If I feel when I'm giving a keynote, not once, not twice, not 3 or 4 times, but maybe from the 4th time, this is no longer working as it worked before, then I should question myself and ask, how can I do better? If I had to run a coffee shop and a sudden preparation of a coffee does no longer sell or has good reactions, then I should not blame the customers that they should drink it. I should ask myself, what's all right here? What should be changed? So this is what I'm doing. I'm always developing and reworking our programs.
What I mean, you do topics within happiness, communication training, and a few other things. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. What are you feeling that is mostly asked for? Like what's kind of the trend within the things you're doing?
I would say something that pops a lot of in the questions we get from customers is change. Everything changes, and the change will be there. That's no longer negotiable. The change will be there. We are living in a changing society, and so you cannot change your boss, you cannot change the company, you cannot change the structure, or you should run your own company, then you can become your boss yourself. But in society, we are dealing every day with change. And so the question behind is, of course, how can you as a person, as constructively as possible, as positive as possible, deal with those changes? And so we have developed a presentation with the title Yes or Yes, because we believe that there are 2 words that people as a child very quickly say after mommy and daddy. You have 3 children, so you should know it are the words yes and no. And if we dig into those words, I'm convinced that every no is actually a way to resist and to not wanting to accept the reality as the reality is. No, there's a traffic jam. Meaning, I think that I should not have been in this traffic jam, and that I should be allowed to go to work easily. No, this speaker or this boss or manager should not give me this remark. I resist that remark. No, people should behave more. If I say no, I'm problem-oriented. And if I'm problem-oriented, I'm creating stress for myself. because I cannot change the reality most of the times. So the first thing I should do when I feel a inner no is to say, okay, yeah, I feel that no. Okay. And it's true. People do not behave always the way I want. And it's true. I'm in traffic jam. Yeah. I know that. It's Monday morning. I'm in traffic jam. And yeah, some managers say silly things. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I should accept the reality if I cannot change the reality. If I did not spoil my energy, waste my energy in fighting against reality, then it means I still have a lot of energy to put it and to focus it on the things that I do have impact on, where I have my own strategies to change the reality. For example, I could say to that manager, sorry, can I interrupt you here? I'm a bit afraid when I see your list of bullet points on your slide that you will tackle all of them. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a bit concerned that we will not have enough time. And to be honest, it's not really my concern. I have other concerns. Could we talk about it? The quicker I move from that, no, he should not behave in that way and he should know it from himself and I will not speak up, into, I should accept it first and then speak up for the things I can change. Then I think I'm more into a yes way of thinking. And of course, it's not about the words necessarily, no or yes. It's more about a no or a yes attitude. And so to me, this is the one of the many things, of course, that people are triggered by these times. And again, it comes back again to what I said in the beginning of this talk. People want to get. We all want to get. We want to be enjoyed. We want to be rewarded.
Yeah.
And sometimes we should accept that we do not have full control on everything, and that's totally okay.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting hearing a little bit about one of your keynotes that's very successful with change. And yeah, really, really powerful change in mindset. I have two questions, or just actually one, before I want to hear about where to find you for the people listening. If you could give just one tip for people listening to this clip here about communication, what would that be?
Be more curious, even when your inner emotions say, no, I want to speak up myself and I want to be right. Be honest in your communication to say, a notion, I see again that I want to speak up myself, but stop. I want to listen to you. I really want to try to do my best to understand you. Literally saying, listen, I really want to try to understand you. This could be my tip.
Wow. Tapping into curiosity, asking questions. I love it because there's so many people out there today that talk about how to communicate, which is also valuable, but it starts with the understanding, with curiosity, because only then we can give something of value. I know you're writing a book, which is hard on you as an extrovert. Me too, as an extrovert. So I would love to hear, where can people find you? Because there got to be some people out there that want to know more about you. We have your TED Talk, which is, of course, viral. Just Google your name, it will pop up. But where to find your book, your keynotes, and other services of value?
Yeah, well, they can always go to our website. We would be thrilled to have them as our guest, or contact us via the website imboorling.be, Belgium. Imboorling, IMBOORLING.be. They can find me there. Or just connect on LinkedIn.
Connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, just like we did. And I know I've also found a couple of awesome tips beside your viral TED Talk on YouTube. Very inspirational. So I think those are some really, really great places. Frederik, it's been such a pleasure. I mean, I've been in this industry for more than 10 years. I learned a lot of good things in this talk. And if you that are listening also found some value in this, leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going, learn more. We are both very curious. And I would say connect with Frederik on LinkedIn. Super great guy and so valuable. With that said, I just want to thank you a ton, Frederik.
Oscar, let me thank you for your valuable questions, for your listening, and for just being the expert that you are, also sharing your ideas in this talk and in your training. So thank you so much again.
Awesome. Guys, leave a comment, and I'll see you soon for another LinkedIn Live. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.